My name is Sam Carlson. I'm a recording engineer and I play in a band called The Tines. So we have a single coming out on the 28th of June, which I'm excited about. We worked on it kind of a while ago, so it should be fun to watch it come out. I feel like enough time has passed between when we made it and now that I'll sort of be hearing it like a listener rather than as the person who made it. That and my girlfriend and I are going to New Zealand in August, which should be really fun. Well, so the opening line of the song is pissing in the side yard, which is just feels really evocative to me. I feel like everyone's done that, like the little on the side of a house, between the house and the fence. Just sneak out there and do what you have to do. But yeah, that was one that I was glad I got to use that in a song.
Who wrote the song?
I wrote the lyrics. And then the music for it was a combined effort. Typically the way that the Tines has worked is that I'll bring in 50 or 60% of a song, and then we all sort of finish it as a group, or someone else will take it home and finish writing it on their own. That's a very good question. So I can definitely think of one right off the bat would be Nick Drake. I'm a huge Nick Drake fan. For this song in particular, we worked on this while listening to a lot of a British band called Fat White Family. And there's definitely some kind of noisier, janglier guitars on the sides that was something that, I at least was listening to a lot of Fat White Family and thinking how can I get a little bit of this into what I do? Another huge influence for me, as I think they are for everyone at this point, is Big Thief. I'm a massive Big Thief fan. And while this song doesn't particularly have Big Thief-y elements in it, I feel like that there's just some elements to their work that I always try to bring into my own. I feel like there's a level of honesty to it that I really appreciate. And there's also just a feel to it. A lot of it has to do with the way that their drummer James plays that I'm just obsessed with. No, well, because one thing that I feel like at least our last album that came out was characterized by a variety, in that we were all sort of beginning to work together and we weren't really sure what we sounded like. So the first record that we put out has 9 songs that by and large all sound pretty different from one another. At the moment, what we're doing is we're working on an album that feels very unified, and in the run-up to the album, we're putting out a string of singles that all stand on their own, but didn't quite fit in with the general vibe of the album. So we're getting our variety out of our system in the hopes that we can deliver something cohesive over the winter. And then after that, who knows? Probably back to having too much variety for our own good.
So what would you say your sound or your genre is? Or what is the genre, if there is one?
When people ask what kind of music I make, I often jokingly say NPR tote bag music, which unfortunately is pretty accurate to us. It's definitely, it's indie rock. I feel like a lot of it is sort of 80s, 90s, early indie inspired, very jangly guitars, lots of drums that focus on the floor tom, stuff like that. Yeah, I think what what music you make is very much like a you are what you eat thing, and that's like by and large what I've always listened to. Is that sort of like I guess kind of what now everyone would say is indie sleaze. So that's for better or worse, I've been making roughly that for my whole life, whether or not it was the thing to do at the time. Well,
Nice. So when did the time start? And also, separately, when did you start with music? When did you get into it?
oh yeah. So I grew up in a pretty musical household, as a lot of people have. My dad had a recording studio in the basement and did like radio jingles, and he always played in his own bands and all that. So I just sort of grew up with all the equipment around me, and I started getting into recording and playing different instruments at a pretty young age. So it really like just became my core hobby, and at this point, I've fully surrendered myself to my state of arrested development there. Now the Tines came up because we had just finished building sans serif recording, and shortly after the studio was built and actually able to take clients on, the pandemic hit, and we decided to use the now empty, fully fledged recording studio to just come up with some music and just sort of fiddle around with friends. So we came up with a 4-track EP in 2020, and at the time we thought that was like just such a totally unique thing to be doing, was making a record in lockdown. And then as the months rolled by, every single person I knew released a record that they'd made during lockdown.
That's the thing to do.
It was the thing to do, and the studio actually I thought I was so cool doing it, and then I wound up doing the master on a compilation of music that had been made by artists during lockdown. So it was really it was absolutely the thing to do at that time. It's like, when else are you going to get that level of free time?
Right.
Very much coffee. I do like teas. I guess I like smokier teas, but by and large, I'm an Americano person.
Oh, yeah.
Espresso and Americanos.
I love Americanos. They used to be my drink. But now...
They're the best.
I know. It's hard to drink a lot of them. I like coffee, so I drink a lot of coffee.
Off the record or on the record, if you want, I haven't had caffeine in years, because I love drinking coffee, and I would drink so much of it that I would create these like peaks and valleys for myself. And after a while, I was just like, I want to be drinking this, and I want to have this flavor and this experience of having, my little hot beverage at my desk or whatever. But I don't need to be taking in like the substance that is caffeine. So I just switched to decaf like 4 years ago.
Did it taste the same to you?
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried decaf. I think maybe I tried a bad brand.
Some of them are bad.
Yeah.
Some of them are not good.
Yeah, I was like, I had one cup and I was like, bleh, and I just immediately just ditched it and went back to caffeine. Should try again.
Yeah, there's Shearwater. That's like a local organic roaster. Shearwater has a really, really good decaf.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if people will judge me for being a decaffeinated fan, but
in the comments, let us know.
Yeah, sound off. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Right. Oh yeah, we gotta put that in there.
I have always been a night owl. I have a really tough time getting to sleep, and because of that, I stay up and I watch like 1 or 2 movies a night. That's like been my routine for a long time now. Lately, though, because I'm, at least for the last couple years operating the studio, I've started to appreciate mornings, because I always had to get up and rush to something immediately, and for the first time in my life, I don't. Anyone who's worked at a recording studio or with musicians can tell you that nothing much happens before like 10:30 or 11. Usually I'm at work at the crack of noon, and that means that if I wake up at 9, I have a couple hours to myself to, watch Breaking Bad or whatever.
What'd you watch recently? Any movies? Good movies?
Oh, yeah. So let's see, what did I watch this week? I really like horror movies, and last night, for some reason, I decided to watch Threads, which is a made-for-TV movie from the UK in the 80s, about what life might be like in the event of a nuclear holocaust. So I watched that, and I watched a Polish folk horror movie called Locus, about a young count who is allegedly half bear. And there's something about like old like Polish and Czech like new wave movies that I find really compelling. Obviously, like the French New Wave gets all the credit, but I think the Czech and Polish ones are often more fun.
Overlooked?
Yeah, definitely overlooked. And there's like, I don't know, I think that there's something that coming from a position of instability or like a position of strife helps people understand the human condition better, because they see more loss and they know more of what it is to have something to lose. Often these like countries that are traditionally unstable, like certainly a lot of Central Europe is traditionally an unstable region. They make absolutely incredible art because they just have this really intimate understanding of the human condition, and like this intimate understanding that what you have today isn't necessarily what you're going to have tomorrow. So like where French New Wave movies are sort of like fun, or maybe like Criminal Capers or like Boy Meets Girl stuff, the like Czech ones tend to be these sort of intensely introspective pieces. Like my absolute favorite is a film called Markéta Lazarova, which is about a feud between the last remaining pagan family in the region and all of their Christian neighbors. And it's just a really beautiful and intense movie. Totally worth the watch.
I'll look that up. I've been trying to watch more movies lately, so definitely gotta look into that.
Do you have the like Criterion channel? That service?
It used to be a part of Hulu years ago.
Oh, it was?
Years ago, and when they cut that out, I was so sad. And that was like the start of all these different streaming services. Now everything's so segmented. Like I'm just like,
that's what I'm always watching is like Criterion channel. I'm such a nerd. It's terrible. No, I love that stuff.
That's the streaming service that I should get, like, because I was like all the classics.
It's such a good deal too.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I watch typically like 3 or 4 movies a week, and then I don't know. Other than that, I feel like I do look at the news, and then I like just everyone has a comfort show that they watch as on repeat. And mine is 30 Rock, so I'm always kind of watching 30 Rock in the background of whatever else is going on.
Nice. Mine is Sex and the City.
Nice.
And yeah, mostly that. I can't even think of anything else.
Yeah, I was like, I do watch the news, but I was like, how do I? It's like I read the news every day, but I'm like, what can I say about the news that's even constructive?
Well, did you read anything interesting? The next question was, what's the best thing you've read or watched or listened to this week?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think the best thing I took in this week was a movie that was recommended by my friend Dan, who plays in Mother Juniper and Old Milk Mooney. And he recommended this documentary called The Cruise, which is about this guy, Speed Levitch, and he is the best tour guide in New York. And I'll just say that. Definitely check it out. I think the whole thing is on YouTube. The poor people on this man's bus are not prepared for the tour that he gives. He's a true character. It's a good question.
Dead or alive? I know, that makes
Jesus
it more
Christ. Yeah. Dead or alive. I think there's like some friends of mine who I think it would probably just be really fun to be on the road with.
Yeah.
I think if we could tour with anyone right now, I would love to tour with Aldous Harding. She's a New Zealand-based singer-songwriter, and her stage presence is so odd and compelling and intense, and I just really wonder who she is when she's like eating breakfast or doing her laundry, and when she's not, playing Aldous Harding on stage. And I also I think she's another person where if you listen to what we do and you listen to her back to back, you can probably see some similarities. Yeah, for me, typically the music comes first, and I'll usually start just sort of. I'll just say any words that come into my head that happen to fit what what the syllabic needs of the phrase are. I feel like the musicality of words is really important. So a lot of the time I'll find myself sort of puddle jumping through making the lyrics where I'll feel like this line really wants to end with an S sound, and what can I do that that sort of fills that S sound out in a way that also makes sense thematically. My advice for anyone who is interested in making art of any kind is firstly to do it a lot and do it badly, because I feel like you have to make like 100 bad versions of a thing to get one good one. And then also, I feel like it should be a process that is fun for you, and there's not like one prescribed method for how to write a song. I find that I often have the best stuff come when I'm just sitting and watching TV and goofing off. It's like whatever helps you generate those ideas is okay, as long as the ideas are generated and it stays fun for you. Because if it's not fun, it's not something that you're going to want to do every day and for a long time. So yeah, I would say just make sure that your process is appropriately messy.
That's good. People try to stay away from mess, but mess is good. Sometimes you need
mess is good. Yeah. Mess is really good. I forget who the author was, but I was reading something on the creative process a while ago, and they were talking about the difference between problem solving exercises and problem finding exercises, and that really stuck with me in that if you I feel like sometimes if you sit down and you're like, I'm going to write a song right now, or I'm going to go take a picture of something, it doesn't really yield the result that you want, because with photography, for instance, sometimes you need to see the thing that wants to have its picture taken in order to know that that's your shot. It's hard to go out and just decide that you're going to get a good picture that day. You need to find the problem that needs answering first. Generally, when I create, I find that I'm feeling something that I wish I could listen to that wasn't in the world already. So I'm sort of trying to fill that void and come up with something that I would enjoy listening to. And I hope that that gap I'm filling is something that someone else out there feels as well, and that hopefully someone will hear this new song and think, man, I'm glad that this thing exists now. So I work with a lot of different artists who come through the studio on their projects, and oftentimes, I'll wind up being really inspired by what they're doing and wanting to apply it to my own work. For instance, I was recently working on a record with Offering Field, which should be out soon, and we did a lot of piano resonator sounds on it. Which is when you take a piano and you tape down or weigh down certain keys so that the string is open and singing, and then you play like a track into the back of the piano and capture it through the piano. So what you get is this really odd, haunting reverb that plays a chord within the key of the song. I remember doing that on that record, and just thinking like, man, I can't wait until I have the chance to use this on my own thing. So I feel like it's just a lot of getting exposed to other people's opinions on work and other people's approaches and techniques that really like kind of helps inform my own.
So if there's an artist watching this and they want to work with you, how do they get in touch? And are there specific sounds or artists that you're looking for?
Not looking to work with anyone specific. We just sort of, whoever shows up. We do all sorts of stuff here. And it's all generally, local or regional. We'll have some people from, New York or Rhode Island or something. But if you're an artist and you're interested in checking the studio out, you can look up Sans Serif Recording, or you can find us on Instagram at Sans Serif Rec. We are in the messages constantly.
Perfect.
So pretty easy to get in touch with.
Good.
So the Tines are just about everywhere at the Tines, or Instagram, TikTok, etc. And then the studio is at sansserifrecording.com and on Instagram at sansserifrec. One of my favorite facts, sort of, I guess. I don't know if this one's good. I was gonna say, so like a lot of people, sometimes people will look at the equipment that they have and they'll feel like their equipment's not good enough to do the task that they want it to do. So for my random fact, I think I'd like to highlight the humble SM57. I might have one. I should have one. Okay, so the SM57 is like $100 new, and you can probably find one on Facebook Marketplace for like $50. This mic is on basically probably on any record you've ever heard. It's decent at everything, but the real thing that gives it an edge is that because it's been around for forever, it's one of the most recorded and therefore the most heard microphones that there is. So a lot of the time, if you're putting it in front of like a guitar amp or on the top of a snare drum or something, it's just going to sound the way that you're expecting that instrument to sound, because this is the microphone that you've heard on snare tops a million times in your life. So if you have any equipment that, like if you're feeling like you need the fancy version of the thing, you probably don't, because an SM57 is always good enough.
That's useful. That's
extremely
useful.
Yeah, don't let big equipment gatekeep you out of doing the things that you want to be doing. But what you have is probably already good enough.
Absolutely. Look at Spike Lee. In 2000, he shot a whole movie on those little DV cameras.
Yeah.
Like, it's just Spike Lee, and that's like a decade into his career, and he's shooting on these little things. So it's like,
Totally. Yeah, and like Citizen Kane was probably shot on something that had like less accuracy than your phone does at this point. So it's like,
exactly.
It's like, yeah, just do the thing that you want to do.
Exactly. Definitely.